Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. 5 years ago today was one of the darkest days in the long history of this country's democracy. And as everyone knew at the time, in the moment, as they watched it on live TV, and as everyone basically warned at the time, and then over and over again in the years after, particularly here on this show and across this network and elsewhere, if something was not done about it, what we witnessed that day would only be the beginning of Donald Trump's unchecked grab for power. 5 years later, here we are, marking the anniversary.
Long after we are all gone, future generations will speak the names of Hodges and Dunn, Gonell and Fanone, Sicknick and Pingen. They will be remembered as the great patriots that they are, and the people who smashed them in the face with Confederate battle flags and Trump flags, the people who tried to destroy our constitutional order, will be remembered as fascist traitors to their own country.
After the Trump administration seized the president of Venezuela with the stated intention of both taking his country's oil and running its government, I think today is kind of a perfect day to observe the anniversary of January 6, 2021. Because the one through line here is that Donald Trump will do whatever he can get away with. He will not take no for an answer, and he will try to take what he wants by any means necessary. And that is true whether it's in a department store dressing room, or whether it's the majority of the American electorate telling him no, or the head of a sovereign foreign state telling him no, or our dear NATO allies, or the courts, or the U.S. Constitution. He will do whatever he can get away with. He will only be stopped when there is enough of a groundswell of pressure on the other side of him. And we saw that in action 5 years ago, the thing to celebrate about that dark day, right? The Capitol police officers, first and foremost, who put their bodies and lives on the line, but also, leading up to it, the courts, the mainstream media, the conservative press, members of his own party and his own cabinet, the Democratic Party opposition, everyone together basically all told Donald Trump no when he tried to overturn the results of a free and fair election that he lost. And it was an overwhelming political defeat for Trump, arguably the greatest public humiliation he has ever suffered. He was a pariah. He was banned from social media across all major platforms, and for a moment effectively banned from, for lack of a better phrase, polite society, because there was enough public pressure against him. And it got to the point where it was a genuine question if he could successfully mount a third run for the White House. In fact, at a certain point, that seemed preposterous. Remember when everyone in right-wing circles was talking about President Ron DeSantis? So now here we are. The question is, will we see that same level of public pressure against this administration's foreign policy? Will there be the same level of resistance after Donald Trump black-bagged the head of a sovereign state to face charges in this country? Because Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and Lindsey Graham have been very clear about their intentions.
The oil companies are going to go in and rebuild their system. They're going to spend billions of dollars, and they're going to take the oil out of the ground, and we're taking back what they stole. Remember, they stole our property. It was the greatest theft in the history of America. Nobody has ever stolen our property like they have. They took our oil away from us. They took the infrastructure away. And all that infrastructure is rotted and decayed. And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild it. We're not going to spend very much money at all, if anything. But the oil companies are going to go, we're going to take our oil back.
Just an hour ago, Trump announced that oil is ours. He said Venezuela will be turning over between 30 to 50 million barrels and that the profits will be controlled by him. Solely by him. They're going to sell it at market price, and Donald Trump gets a big check, puts it in his bank account, gives it to one of his weird, sad, unpleasant sons. In short, he's doing it because he can. When Mike Waltz spoke to the UN about the operation, he did not make up a whole rigmarole about spreading democracy or the dignity of the Venezuelan people. He didn't try to mislead them about weapons of mass destruction. He just said effectively, we want control of that oil.
This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be used as a base of operation for our nation's adversaries and competitors and rivals of the United States. You cannot continue to have the largest energy reserves in the world under the control of adversaries of the United States, under the control of illegitimate leaders.
That message was underscored by the White House on social media. Quote, "This is our hemisphere." Ours. Do we own it? Ours alone? Anyone else live here? That's the way you have to understand everything about this era we are in and have been in. It is literal life and death stakes, both domestic and global battles over whether Trump can be restrained before he takes more, before he does more damage, before he destroys more. Because he will try to take more. He feels emboldened right now. It's not an accident. Then the wake of successfully invading Venezuela and capturing its leader, Trump, along with the war hawks guiding his foreign policy, are already talking about a similar operation in neighboring Mexico. Musing about doing the same in Colombia. Maybe they could kidnap and black bag that guy, taking over Cuba. All of that would be illegal. It would be unwarranted, immoral, and reckless. He's also talking very seriously about a potential military takeover of Greenland, which is part of Denmark, a founding member of NATO. Military action there would be unprecedented in the modern era, would completely uproot the post-war global order.
It has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States. The president has been very clear about that. That is the formal position of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
Again, it can be crazy making that we're in this position. You've got to take a step back. Like, it is my position that Stephen Miller's house is mine. That's my position. By what claim does Stephen Miller have his house? His bank account is mine. And who's going to fight me over it? Who's going to fight me if I come up to your business and I smash the windows in and punch you in the face and take it? Who's going to stop me? Today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed to CNBC that Trump is considering military action in Greenland. For his part, Secretary of State Rubio says Trump wants to buy it, which again is a sort of familiar kind of way of approaching this, right? We'd like to buy your business. We'll take it if we have to. Can we find a price? It is exactly what it looks like. They don't try to really mask it. The whole world sees it. Our European allies are already sounding the alarm. And again, they'll do it if they can get away with it. They'll do a lot more, a lot more. And the question is every day from here until this awful national nightmare ends, is can enough pressure be put on the other side of the door to keep the predator out of the room he's trying to break into right now? Can the wide array of nonviolent tactics available to people and states, institutions, and corporations, nationally and internationally, stop Trump from continuing a rampage of wanton destruction, from creating a new imperialist American empire with himself as a dictator? He wants to do that. He could not be clearer about it. It's been the goal of his political project since at least this day, 5 years ago, January 6th, 2021. It's all the same story.